Hi, thanks so much for joining in. You're watching NDTV Profit and my name is Alex Matthew. This is Your Money Matters. Credit cards, they're a boon when managing your finances and they can, of course, give you some much needed breathing room if you use them efficiently. That entails managing credit cycles so that you're not paying any interest to the banks. But what really makes them attractive is the rewards that you can earn through the points that you generate on your spends. But not all cards are created equal. So how do you choose the right one? Are you even eligible? And when banks promise you a lifetime free credit card, is it really free? And finally, and most importantly, when it comes to rewards, how do you cash in? That's the focus of the first conversation today. Joining me is Ajay Awtaney, who's the founder and editor of Live from a Lounge and expert on everything credit card related. Ajay, thanks so much as always for taking the time. Pleasure having you on my show. Let's talk about first and foremost, when it comes to a free credit card that the bank offers you when you get a call, is it really free?
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me over. So in terms of a free credit card, you got to realize that not all cards are free. There are a few ones that the banks offer free of cost. And there are a few ones that the bank wants you to try out. So they will give you maybe the first year free, but the second year onwards, they will be paid cards. So you got to very carefully sign the paper, whatever that you're signing in terms of the sourcing document, I think it's called. If you're signing on for a lifetime free card or a first year free card, and then kind of proceed. Okay. And it also helps to keep a record of that.
Yeah, and so there are multiple different cards available. Let's talk about that first, right? Because somebody who's new to this space, and a lot of young people are getting offers right now, people are getting multiple cards. Is there a way to identify the various types?
So there are many kind of, genres of credit cards, let's call them. At the entry level, you will have some very basic cards, where the reward programs are not so great. And these are typically going to be handed out free of cost, perhaps. If somebody is a salaried person, when you open up your, salary account with the organization's official bank, you will perhaps be handed out a free credit card. It's purely for the bank to kind of, get more opportunity to cross-sell more products to you. Then there are these cashback cards that are there. The cashback cards are the ones that, will give you 1%, 2%, whatever the promissory amount that they're giving out. These are usually not uncapped. So, for example, some cards will say, for example, there's this HSBC credit card which got launched in the market about 3 months back, where they say that up to 1,000 rupees cashback is given to you per month. And then there are cards that come in the more exciting space nowadays has been the travel credit cards. A lot of banks have been wanting to get into this space because the people who are aspirational, who make reasonably good amount of money, they obviously want to travel, and that's an aspirational goal. So all these credit cards are promising you travel rewards. Then I think there are two more kinds, largely. These are,
Diner cards.
How do you want to call the co-branded cards, okay, where two organizations are going to come together and then they will kind of, issue you a card where the benefits are extraordinary on the commercial organization, which you are kind of, signing up for. For example, one of the most popular cards last year or past few years has been the Axis Vistara credit cards. Too bad Vistara is no longer existent, so these cards will not be renewed. But we hope that Air India starts launching new co-branded credit cards soon, so they will come to market. And then there is a genre of cards which I call lifestyle cards. There's no official term for them really, but these are the top tier cards, right? From HDFC, for instance, Infinia, from Axis Bank, the Magnus and the Reserve cards and so on. These are not cards that everyone qualifies for. So you need a certain income bracket, you need a certain credit history to be able to qualify for these cards. But the rewards here are mind-blowing. And then just before I let you go on that question, there is a sixth card category that comes to mind, which is for self-employed people and for people who run businesses. These are called business credit cards, which have been around for a very long while. But I think last year some market players like HDFC have launched some pretty good products in the market with this, where you can actually earn reward points for paying income tax. You can pay reward points for GST and so on and so forth. So those are largely the banding of credit cards that are out there in the market.
Okay.
So new, yeah. Sorry.
So I want to establish right at the start. So you've said that certain cards, the creme de la creme, really give you the best rewards, but not everyone can access them. Are there relatively easy to access cards that give you decent rewards, and would you name a few of them?
So some of the decent cards, which I think everyone can access. One that comes to mind really is the Axis Bank Atlas credit card. It's not a top-end card. It's a mid-end card in the sense in the bank's hierarchy of things. And this card comes to you for about 5,000 rupees per annum as fee. But the beauty of this card is that if you really like travel rewards, you're going to be able to earn travel rewards at an accelerated pace. So, for example, if you're booking flight tickets or if you're paying for hotels, directly on the airline or at the hotel, you will get 5 times more rewards than, for example, if you're doing groceries with this card. And these points can be then used as 1 rupee for, buying tickets, or you can use these points to, for example, transfer them into airline miles or hotel points and use them towards a vacation whenever you want them for example.
Okay, so you've named
and
one.
Then,
yeah, go ahead, please go ahead.
And the other one, I think, from the HDFC Bank stable, there is a very nice card, I think, which is comparatively easier to get. It's called Regalia, or they also have the Diners Club suite of cards that you were referring to earlier. So not everyone might get the Diners Club Black, but they might get the Diners Club Privilege card. These are the two ones that are out in the market. And again, these are all pretty good cards.
Okay. When it comes to the amount that you can get on the card, is it important to stipulate? So because I've noticed that at least for a few people that I've spoken to, and this is anecdotal evidence, Ajay, so I want to bear it out with you, the limit on your cards, is that something that you speak to the bank about? Because sometimes they're pretty generous, shall we say, with the limit that they give you.
So you don't speak to the bank. I think, so the bank obviously, when you're applying for the card, is asking you for an income level of yours. They're also asking you for what is your, they ask you for your PAN card, which they use to pull your CIBIL record or any other credit bureau that they might be using to see how trustworthy you are with credit over a period of time. And the third thing that they ask you for is then obviously sometimes they will ask you if you have any other bank's credit cards. So basis your repayment history, basis your income bracket, basis if you already have a relationship with the bank will give out a limit. Some banks are very hesitant to give out limits, so they will start you on the slow path, give you maybe a 50,000, 1 lakh rupee limit. And then as you kind of tend to do well with the bank in terms of pay your bills on time and so on, then they will kind of give you a higher limit in the process. So for example, I think SBI card is a little risk averse, given one of the largest card issuers in the country. So they tend to follow these practices with customers who are new signups, where SBI card has not seen too much activity with the customer like before.
Okay. The other thing is rewards, right? Because that's really what draws you to credit cards, apart from the fact that you can effectively manage your cash flows. That's the other draw. But speaking of rewards, you've already mentioned that some cards give you more than others, and you've talked about a few options that are easily accessible. But when you convert those rewards, is the conversion rate the same for everybody?
No, like you yourself mentioned, not all rewards are the same. And my favorite analogy there is the word dollar, for example. US dollar buys you a different amount of things, a Hong Kong dollar or a Singapore dollar, or for that matter, any other dollar, anything with the dollar sign in front of it will buy you a different amount of things. So the purchasing power parity, sort of to use the economic term, is different for different cards. So the three usual methods actually, how a credit card reward can be used. Now, one back in the day, which was very popular when I started using credit cards, was they used to have a catalog of things that you could buy something from, and people, they would offer as low as you could buy a toaster out of your credit card rewards, which obviously something we don't recommend at all. The second part is using your credit card rewards as if it was cash. So different, card issuers will give you a different value on the points. So for example, Axis Bank, most of the card rewards that they issue is worth 20 paisa per point. These are called edge rewards. But when you, for instance, take the Access card or the Atlas card, then the reward for that is 1 rupee. So it's interesting. So you need to kind of check out that particular card you have. What is the value of the point there? American Express, if you want to call them and say, hey, I have these 10,000 points, can you apply them to my statement to kind of pay off my balance? They will use it at 25 paise a point. So different banks basically have different values for the points, and but the best way of using them, honestly, is if your credit card offers what do you call a conversion feature, where you can convert them to air miles or to hotel points. So, because, for example, you could just be paying uh, 5,000 points, for example, on a Bombay Delhi ticket.
Okay.
With Air India using their points, while the cash ticket could be 9,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, and so on. So the best arbitrage really is when you're converting these points into travel rewards and then use them. They're a little complicated in the sense it takes a little while for people to get a hang of them.
Can you
but I
explain
think they're
how
not,
that is done, though? Can you explain how that is done? Is it a one approach for all of the cards available?
the conversion part
Yes.
is simple.
How do you convert to rewards? Yeah. For somebody who's not got a credit card, think you're doing it, wants to know before they do, how do they convert their rewards?
So each bank will have usually a website, a microsite of sorts, where they will ask you to, log into this particular site, and then you'll be able to place a request that, let's say, I today want to transfer points worth 5,000 Air India miles from my Axis Bank account. So I'll go to this website called traveledge.co.in, I think, and then I will place a request there that I have using my Axis Bank Cust ID that I want to place X reward conversion into Air India miles. Similarly, HDFC has a different website. With Amex, you can log into the website of American Express India, and there you will find an option. So again, and then the thing that people need to check out is what are the kind of partners they're actually looking for. For example, if somebody is traveling a lot domestically only, does not want to get out of the country, then something that might offer them an Air India conversion feature might be great for them. But if somebody really wants to go explore the world, then you might need a card which has maybe 10, 15 partners so that you can really use the right kind of rewards at the right time to go on and take it.
Point taken. Ajay, you have, and you mentioned Amex, there is, of course, MasterCard, there is your Visa, and there is also RuPay. Does it matter which of these you have? Because I've also heard that not all providers are accepted everywhere.
So, yes and no, in the sense, I think about 5 years back, American Express did not have the same kind of acceptance. Diners Club did not have the same kind of acceptance. But I think at this point of time, most people take all the card issuers. The catch is that, look, some of these are more expensive for the merchants to accept, right? For instance, the Visa and Master rates of what commission they charge the merchant is the lowest, I believe. So that's why they try and avoid some of the other cards. But I guess if push comes to shove, they will still take it. If you just said I had an Amex and that's the only card I'm carrying today, then you either get you to UPI the money if they really don't have Amex acceptance, or they'll take it, they'll eventually swipe the card.
Okay, last question. There are a couple of cards that I've heard of which have a dual feature where they give you two cards in the same bucket with the same limit with different providers, like an Amex plus a MasterCard. Is that something that is available?
Yes, that is available. That's not something that many banks do. I think ICICI Bank does that a lot, though, I think. And it really helps you if you, so the credit limit you have is literally common. In that case, for example, if there's a 5 lakh credit limit, you could be swiping with your Visa somewhere and with your Amex version somewhere. The benefit is that, you get to access the perks that both the networks offer. So a lot of these benefits that we talk about from credit cards are brokered by or provided by the network sometimes, like Visa, Master, or American Express. So in this case, you're able to access the perks of
Both.
From the network side. Yeah.
Both. Okay. So I think we've covered quite a bit of ground. This is actually a subject that we can delve into in far more detail. We've covered some ground. I'm sure my viewers have a lot of questions about this, Ajay, and I'll get in touch with you, I'm sure, in the near future to take up some of those points. But thanks so much for joining in, for taking the time.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, so that should give you some perspective on how to use your credit card. And of course, if you've got more questions about how to convert those reward points and how to rank the credit cards that you might be seeing from the various banks, do write into us and we'll get in touch with you. But the second part of this conversation is an interesting one, I think. It's something that we started in the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like to call it Travel Thursday. This is where we help you dream a little about the places that you'd like to visit and things that you'd like to put on your bucket list. To that end, I've got Anindita Chatterjee joining me today. She's a travel expert and what she likes to call a globe-trotting mom. She's been to 99 countries. The next one is on the radar as well. Anindita, thanks so much for joining in. I believe we're talking about San Francisco today.
Yes, we are. And thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure as always.
My pleasure having you. Why did you pick San Francisco?
Okay, the reason I chose San Francisco is because I hadn't been to the US West Coast at all. And I thought that was a great city to start with. And also my sister-in-law lives there. That's one of the main reasons I went there. But it was amazing. We went just before Christmas. And I think that's one of the best times to visit this city.
Okay. Sorry, when did you say is the best time to visit the city?
I would say between September to November. I went in November just before Christmas, but between September to November because that's the warmest and the sunniest months, and there's no fog. But otherwise, San Francisco has a lot of fog during the peak season, and of course, it's got its own charm with the fog as well. But I think September, November is fall, and it's the best time. Yeah. And it's good to avoid the peak tourist season, which is June to August, where it's really very crowded.
When you say fog, it just brings to the mind that iconic Golden Gate Bridge, right? And the view of the bridge. In fact, incidentally, I've spoken to a Michelin star chef in San Francisco, based in San Francisco, and one of the salads that he has created involves this Golden Gate Bridge with dry ice and all of that. So he puts in the fog with that. So it's fantastic. But so we've got that image and we've got that lovely thought of that iconic bridge. But what else is there to see in San Francisco?
Oh, there is a lot to see, but one of the most exciting things that I did in San Francisco was get driven in a driverless taxi.
Okay.
I mean, that was epic. I don't think that happens anywhere else in the world right now. And, it's just like an Uber app. It's called Waymo. You book the taxi through the app. The taxi arrives. You open the doors and there is nobody inside. You just click a button, start ride, and the taxi starts moving. It takes you to your destination. It asks you to buckle up if you haven't. And I think that was the most bizarre thing. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, of course, it talks about where technology has taken us today, but it's amazing to see that. So that is definitely the first thing one should do in San Francisco because it's something you've never done before. My 3-year-old daughter was with me. Now, my 3-year-old daughter has been to 31 countries.
Wow.
Now, I have been to 99 countries.
Wow.
But even while she was sitting here, her excitement levels were like, going way through the roof. It was like, she couldn't believe that, Mama, there's no driver in the car. How is it driving? It was so good. So that for sure. Then other than that, of course, drive on the Golden Gate Bridge, which is quintessential San Francisco. There's the Alcatraz Island, which is a very famous prison. So you can do a tour there. Two very famous places in San Francisco. They are the Fisherman Wharf and the Union Square. Very happening place. And Fisherman Wharf is very family friendly, lots to do for kids. There's also a place there called Pier 39. Now you can take a boat ride there and you got right in front of sea lions. So they've made this deck for sea lions to come and just chill in the sun and have fun. And it's so cute to see like hundreds of sea lions over there. So great for kids. Other than that, you can also drive to Lombard Street, which is known as the crookedest street in the world. You're standing there and there's this huge slope and the cars are coming and it's really, really nice. The Heritage Tram ride in San Francisco, which is really famous, it costs like $16 for a return ticket, and you can also avail any other public transport in that much amount. And there's the Twin Peaks, where you have great views of the city. And there's another place called Pacifica, which is close to the city, like around a half an hour drive from the city. Over there, there's a trail called Maury Point. Now, that's, again, a must-do because it has stunning views of the ocean and great sunset. So, yeah, these are few of the things that you can do in that city.
So it's a few things, right? And it's a lot to see. So therefore, my next question is, how much time should you be willing to spend to really do justice to this? And of course, you're traveling all the way to the US. First of all, you need that visa, and I've heard that it's a little cumbersome right now to get, but assuming that you do get it, how much time should you be willing to spend there? And would you suggest also looking at a few other places in the vicinity because you've flown across, what, 2 oceans?
Absolutely, you should, because it is expensive. Tickets are expensive. And US visa, like you said, yes, it's a little difficult to get, but once you get, it's usually a 10 years visa. So you're sorted for 10 years. And yes, if you're flying all the way to San Francisco, you should definitely club it with, maybe LA and Las Vegas. That's, of course, a flight away. But once you're in Vegas, you can also do a road trip to Grand Canyon, Antelope Canyon, and the Horseshoe Bend. So these are great places to go to around San Francisco. But if you don't want to take a flight, you can, of course, club it with a lot of day trips around. Like you can go to the Yosemite National Park, you can go to Moe Woods, you can go to this very beautiful town called Sausalito, which is a really nice town by the waterfront, very good cafes, and drive on the Pacific Coast Highway, which is National Highway 1. I mean, that's again a very, very beautiful drive by the ocean. So yeah, these are a few places that you can club San Francisco with. And in terms of number of days, I would say 4 to 5 days is good. But of course, if you're clubbing with other places, I would say a week to 10 days.
A week to 10 days. I mean, I hope that people get more than that if they're going to the United States, because it's going to take at least a day to get there, I would think,
yes,
Anamita.
Of course.
And maybe
yes.
a couple more days to acclimatize. I think that's why people say they want to spend more time. But if you're spending about a couple of weeks, what is the kind of budget that you need to keep aside for something like this?
So see, if you're spending a couple of weeks in the US, like I said, you're not only going to be doing San Francisco because that's just like maybe 4 to 5 days. Yeah. But other than that, you'll be doing a lot of other places based on your choice. Now, I would say a 4 to 5 days trip in San Francisco, in terms of the tickets, costs around 60 to 65,000. Of course, the earlier you book your ticket, the better rates you could get. But it would be around 65,000 is what I feel. And in terms of restaurants, in terms of eating, it would be anywhere between 8 to 10,000 a day. Hotels, of course, there's budget hotels and there are mid-range. So I would say a budget hotel would cost anywhere between 6,000 to 10,000 rupees a day. Now, these would be hostels or absolutely budget hotels. Mid-range, like a Courtyard Marriott and brands like that, would be anywhere between 12,000 to 20,000. And of course, luxury would be 20,000 and above, and it can go up till how much ever you want to spend. But that would be approximately the per day spend. And now depends on how long you are staying, you can figure out how much you will be spending.
Yeah, I love speaking with you because you have a sense of what a family-friendly holiday can be. And so from that perspective, San Francisco, I'm sure, is going to have a lot of options food-wise.
Oh, absolutely. There's amazing food. Like, there's this place I went to called Bowden Bakery. and they have this a bread bowl, and you have the clam chowder soup in the bread bowl. Oh my God, it is so delicious. Like my mouth is watering as I speak. But other than that, there's also another bakery and restaurant called Tati, which is really good. There are a lot of veg options. I remember this Japanese veg restaurant we went to called Shizen. There's also another veg restaurant called Greens. Now, these are a few really good veg options. And in terms of Indian food, if you fancy having Indian food there, I went to a place called Pakwan, which had very, very good food.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
So I think we've managed to paint a picture, Anindita, and we've been showcasing some of the visuals that you've gotten on your trip, some of the other visuals we had as well. So we've kind of given people a sense of what they can expect, and hopefully they experience what you've experienced. Thanks so much, as always, for taking the time. That brings us to the end of this edition of Your Money Matters. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is NDTV Profit.